Hello everyone, welcome to Safe Investing. So for this week, is Intel an opportunity? In the previous video, I talked about Micron Technologies. And recently Micron has released its Q3 earnings. And from that earnings, I think that Micron is still a very good opportunity. If you haven't seen that video, please check it out. So for background, here's some background information. But before that, as a disclaimer, I'm not saying that Intel is better than AMD or AMD is better than Intel. I think that they're both good stocks to have and both are good opportunities. That being said, at the current price point, I think that Intel is a great opportunity. Intel designs and manufactures central processing units, or aka processors, or CPU. So currently Intel is manufacturing all of its processors. But in the future, it may decide to outsource some of its manufacturing to TSM, and possibly maybe even Samsung. And that is not currently confirmed yet. So Intel has, right now, it actually has the best performance to price ratio chips, as the i7 11700K. So the unlocked version of the latest i7 is actually much faster than and cheaper too than the Ryzen 7 right now. So currently it is producing 14 nanometer chips, and a lot of people saying, well, 14 nanometer is not as good as TSM's 7 nanometer. But keep in mind that all it means is that the 7 nanometer will be slightly more energy efficient and will use less materials. But the 14 nanometer can still have the same speed, if not faster than the 7 nanometer chips that TSM makes. So keep that in mind, because a lot of people just compare the two numbers and think the smaller one is better. And also Intel is having a lot of incentives from the Biden government into expanding their production levels in the United States, because the Biden government wants the United States to maintain its processor production power. As on Friday, Intel closed at $56.76, with a gain of about 75 cents compared to the last trading day. And if you look at the graph for 1 month right now, the price has been fairly stable, and $56 is at the low end of the price point for 1 month. So from price perspective, I think that Intel has a higher upward probability than a downward probability. As for earnings, the earnings for Intel is honestly very, very impressive. For Q1, its earnings per share was $1.39. And for the past 12 months, the earnings per share was $5.25. And for next estimate is slightly lower, and I think this is because they're spending more money to improve their manufacturing, especially building towards their new factory right now, and so hence its earnings per share is only $1.07. But the P ratio was really, really impressive at 10.81, and this is much more impressive than the other senior companies. I like to call these type of companies senior companies because they have this good reputation and they have been around for a very long time. So compared to companies such as Cisco, which has a much higher P ratio, and you can also compare it to companies such as IBM, which also has a much higher ratio than Intel. So I think overall, Intel is a very good opportunity. As for dividends, I would give Intel an 8 out of 10 because the dividends honestly are not that great at $1.39 per year, so roughly 2.45%. But keep in mind that for these type of dividends from the tech companies, you can't really compare it to the dividends from the banks, right? So you can only compare it to dividends such as the Nvidia dividend, which is extremely little, and you can also compare it to the Apple dividend, which is also extremely little. So Intel, when compared to them, I think that Intel's dividend is very impressive. But Broadcom is honestly very impressive too, and Broadcom will probably be recommended in the future videos. As for growth, I think Intel has a lot of growth potential right now, and right now is trying to catch up to AMD, and that builds into its growth potential. And I think that when it comes to competition, So whoever leads, it usually cycles over time. For example, AMD, there's a period of time where they did really well before they did really bad, and now they're doing really well again. So Intel right now is not doing that great, but in the future, I think it will be great. And with the use of external manufacturing help, such as TSM to manufacture its future new chips, Intel will have more time to catch up, to improve their manufacturing facility. And keep in mind that in the United States, there are not a lot of companies that actually does the manufacturing of chips, except for Broadcom and Micron and Global Foundries. So as for growth, I would give it a 9 out of 10. So as for the overall rating, I would say Intel is a very strong buy at 9 out of 10. So thank you for watching, and I hope you all have an amazing day. Remember to invest safely.